Welcome to the Cup of Joe Show, where we explore the journey of recovery from alcohol and drug addiction. One story, one conversation, and one step at a time. I'm your host, Joe, creating a safe space for honest discussions about the challenges and triumphs of addiction and alcoholism. In each episode, we'll hear inspiring stories and uncover tools that make healing possible. Sobriety is not a one-size-fits-all journey, and you don't have to face it alone. Recovery is possible, and it's worth it. Thank you for joining the Cup of Joe Show. Now let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Cup of Joe Show. I'm your host, of course, Joe. And today I'm really excited to have my good friend, Dennis P. Dennis is originally from the northwest suburbs of Chicago. Dennis is a husband, father of 3 grown sons, and proud grandpa to little Amelia, who's about to turn 1, a great age. Sober since January 22nd, 2018, Dennis found recovery, love, and purpose through the program. He met his wife, the awesome and amazing Simone, in AA, and together they've built a new life in Tennessee, where they were married and bought their home earlier this year. When he's not spending time with family or his dog Charlie, Dennis enjoys resale shopping, tinkering around the house, and giving back. Dennis is really good at giving back. He shares his experience, strength, and hope at treatment centers and in service work throughout the recovery community. He's grounded and he's inspiring, and I'm really grateful that he's decided to join me today. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's get into it. Dennis, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, and right back at you. You inspire as well.
Well, thank you, my friend. I'm really glad that I got you on to share your story. So let's start at the beginning. What was it like growing up, Dennis?
What was it like growing up? Growing up, I was kind of a wild, crazy kid. From the time I was little, I was getting into mischief and doing all the things I shouldn't have been doing, and for that, I thoroughly frustrated my parents to the point where when it came time to go to kindergarten, I was born in September, and I was still 4, and my my mom did everything she could on her own self will to get me into school. So I tested, and that was fine, but I was kind of a class clown. I I just emotionally was behind everybody all the time. So it was pretty challenging, going through school, and because of that, the repercussions of being an attention seeker, clowning around, even though I did well in school, um, it brought a lot of consequences to my doorstep from the time I was little. Um, my dad ruled with an iron fist, and my mom, she was more, I would say, tell me what to do, yell, scream, and a lot of yelling and screaming in the house. That's probably the hallmark of our household, and there was a lot of avoidance in that whole process. But growing up, played a lot of sports and found a lot of freedom out on the whatever field it was, from soccer to baseball to football, to swimming and basketball. So I had a lot of good things and a lot of good people to be around, and I'm grateful for all of them. All of them, the fathers that were father figures, and they were they were the friends of my best friend. They are the parents of my best friends, and so I was very grateful. One of them, he definitely drank a lot. He ended up in the program. That one of those fathers. I kind of admired his ability to, I guess, have a sense of humor just about everything. It was very sarcastic, and I kind of picked up on that in my own right, and but grateful that to have a supportive network of friends and fathers and even mothers too that were. But yeah, my parents, my mom and my sister were always ice skating. loved my sister. I still love my sister, and love my parents too. But my mom was off early in the morning to go to ice skating, and my dad was off to work early, and I was pretty much left to my own devices from a young age. And but yeah, and from the time I came home too, I was left to my own devices, and uh, did did my best to to keep myself in check, and so not to get in trouble out of fear of being punished. That was every it, it seemed like it seemed like other kids, their parents didn't they got more, or they got punishments as much as I got praise. And um I had my father was one, and I love my father, and I'm grateful for how he provided and did what he did with what he had and what he knew and what he grew up with. Um, but he was a he would always, anytime I did something well, he would always take credit for it. But he would tell me everything I did wrong. So I kind of got this got wounded, and then salt poured on that wound, and that was tough. That was tough because I never felt I had a very low self-esteem because of it. Uh, my self-esteem has grown. I wouldn't say entirely. It kind of was traumatic, but again, my parents were educated. They I never went without. They did their best, and I love them for that. But I held a lot of resentment over that for many years, and tried to show them, prove to them that I could do it. And I was always trying to prove myself to them and to other people my whole life. And even in that self-seeking and trying to, I I kind of didn't fit in with others. I think that would be a big thing. And by the time I got to high school, uh, well, even before that, because I had a family that one side was very um, religious, and they were very open. Everyone was treated as an equal. You could say something, they would engage you. The other side of the family, uh, pull up to the house, there'd be barbecues, there'd be motorcycles, there would be um, people drinking, music playing. It was a tale of two cities. You go from the south side of the Kennedy to the north side of the Kennedy. It was two different worlds, a tale of two worlds. And in that household, a lot of people drank, and they drank heavy. And I just didn't feel like I fit in there. And when I was there, and probably when I would say around 8 or 9 years old, um, I was serving drinks, and I remember that time of making a black Russian for my great grandmother. And I came up, and I was just like in this mirrored glass. It was so everything. It looked so glamorous, and and as soon as I picked that drink up and drank it, and started walking up the stairs, it wasn't before I got up the stairs that I had to have another sip, because there was something that it did to me where I wasn't trying to prove myself to anyone. It just gave me that ease and comfort that a lot of us talk about, and I could breathe. And I remember walking up, and I saw them, and nobody was looking. I took one more sip, and my great grandmother saw me, and she got, "You can't do that. You shouldn't be doing that." But funny enough, as I- as time went on, I still, from that time, when I went over to that house, I sought a way to pick up a drink, so I could breathe again, because it felt so good. And that's what it did, what alcohol did for me at a young age. And lo and behold, when I get into high school, and the parties start beginning, um, it, it's a lot of alcohol there. I drank as much as I possibly could outside of sports. I played a lot of sports. I played um, baseball, and I played football, and then ended up on the golf team. I had a broken leg, so uh, but I yeah, I played sports that keep in between the lines is where I was free, and out on the course, that's where I was free. I could be myself. I could I was able to be around my teammates. Ended up captain of the golf team, which I never dreamed of. I mean, when I was younger, I thought I'd be captain of the football team and captain of the baseball team, and I did end up being captain my senior year. And but I was I got a lot of hardware for what I did, and I never thought that I ever measured up to earning uh, what I have, what I got in terms of accolades, and because of the work that I put in, and kind of like imposter syndrome, where you don't feel like that you're doing all this stuff, but you don't feel like you're doing anything, and you're not doing enough, and you're not doing it good. And so that's kind of how my life went. And I went to go off to school, um, and ended up to go play baseball at a university up in Illinois, and didn't end up playing because we got rid of most of the recruiting class, and so I went back to a JUCO. But during that time, when that all went away, that freedom that I got from being around people, being a part of, and um, and and doing something and contributing to something, when that all went away, I found another way. So the best thing that I did that fall was to join a fraternity, because that's exactly what I needed. I needed to be a part of something, and it involved alcohol, a lot of it, and and that carried in. That carried, from age of 18 going forward. So at least that gives you up to my 18 years old.
That's no, it's funny when kind of going back to when you started. Like I would also started school early. Honestly, my mom would basically brought me to kindergarten at 4 years old and said I haven't been able to do anything with him. So good luck, And it really, you talk about the immaturity and the not, emotionally kind of being behind, and
Yeah.
you and I have that in common. And I think alcohol was the great equalizer for me.
Same here.
I didn't feel like I didn't. Uh, it helped me fit in, or at least feel like I fit in. But so were there any signs at this time, or like going into college, or where you might have thought, I'm not drinking like everybody else, or did any of that ever come into play?
Um, uh, at that time, no, that was just normal. I thought that was normal, because of what I grew up in. My parents were not drinkers. My dad despised drinking, but if he picked up a beer, he was fine. My mom, she drink a half a glass of wine, she'd be giddier than giddy. Um, but my dad's side of the family, that's where all the drinkers were at, and I think that's probably why my dad went an opposite direction and tried to stay away from it as much as possible. But I think in looking back, yeah, absolutely. Now that I understand what the disease is, once you pick up one, you don't stop until it's all gone. And even when it's all gone, where's the next party? Where are we stopping at? Who you're going to shoulder tap off of? Let's just go hang outside Extra Value Liquors. There will be somebody there. Back in those days, people would do that, would buy for you. Six pack was very expensive. know, but so yeah, during that time. But I think more so after I came back from from college, because I went 1 year up to NIU and um, came back because my parents weren't going to pay for me to go party. Ended up at a JUCO, and I think in retrospect, when I started like getting restless, irritable, and discontented. So on Friday, because we were going to sit down and watch a movie from Blockbuster. I'm going to date myself. Uh, that I was like, "Where's liquor? Where's this? This is And it did. I started seeking people that did that same thing and partied just like me, and a little harder, with more than just alcohol. And that was maybe a little weed, maybe a little blow, a little, you know, that was. I mean, I wouldn't say I experimented with with. I don't think so much marijuana, but it was very. I wasn't a marijuana smoker, but cocaine definitely. And and I realized that, and baseball season was starting at Harper, and um, and I had to get back into shape. I had to stop all that. But that's the funny part. Again, when I had something that was goal orientated, around people, between the lines, that that always resonated with me from the time I was little, and I was able to not do all those things. I still drank, and when I did drink, I was looking for more and more. I needed more to feel that sense of ease and comfort, and I guess in it all, escape the reality that I lived in, because I never thought I was enough and I'd never be good enough, and that helped me get through that, and be able to be able to talk to people. I find that I'm kind of not as social as I thought I once was. I'm still social, but I'm more reserved today. But I think, yeah, I probably around 19 years old, I noticed something was different uh, at that time. Uh, so
So at your, so you're, you know, I get, you graduate, I'm assuming you graduated college and drinking escalated, partying escalated. We have the cocaine in common too. That was, I loved cocaine because I could drink more on it, and
yep,
it was, uh, it took me down some really, really dark paths. I always say my, towards the end, my favorite party mix was isolation, cocaine, and liquor. And but um, so how did it escalate, Dennis? When you know through your life?
um, I I played baseball, and then I ended up going to from so that was college number two, the junior college, in which I did very well, believe it or not, and in school, true to form. Even though I goofed off, I did well, and but I went down to Carbondale out of all schools, and at that time, I think it was like the top five party schools in the state, in the country. Uh, and so uh, I was going to play ball down there, but I had an injury in my shoulder and I couldn't do it anymore, so I hung up the cleats. But I picked up where I left off, what I usually did. I still worked out and stuff and partied, um, but it definitely escalated then, because I was away from home again instead of being at home. Didn't have to drive many places, so because the strip was 2 blocks away, so I wasn't the liquor store was 2 blocks away. The All the parties were right where I was at. I was in Party Central on College and Beveridge Street. Beveridge Street is the street I lived on. Uh, so uh, but it definitely escalated, and until until I met my my first my first girlfriend, in which I ended up leaving school for her. So uh, and then eventually we got married. So at that time, my drinking kind of went down. Sufficient enough cause. It went down. So I I just thought I was a heavy, as the book defines it, being a heavy drinker. So I could control it, but I've never been exposed to AA. That's just in retrospect. But at some point, it did happen again. And I don't know if you want me to go into that afterwards. After getting married, my my I feel like my drinking was it was on the weekends, and I wouldn't drink during the week, even though I wanted to. I wanted to have a couple beers, and what ended up happening was drinking more and more. I wouldn't drink on Sunday. I wouldn't drink after the Bears game on Sunday and the game at noon. But then it started bleeding into Monday night football and uh, into Thursday night football, and then Saturday college, and so I get in a lot. I guess at those times, that's when it the cunning, baffling, powerful. I never seen it coming. I mean, um I thought that I would just be a heavy drinker, like the rest of the other side of the family that I blamed for my ism. Um, so I the so kids came along, and then I guess it kind of changed. I had to be more responsible because we were doing more things, and that changed. But I the one thing the things I do remember, at during the birth of each of our three kids, and I look back at it, and I'm just like, how could you do that? At the birth of those three kids, I was by my wife's side, but when I was by my wife's side, I had snuck booze in to the hospital in a bag, and just to be able to drink, um, and that was from my sons were born in 99, 2001, and 2002. So around and was married in 97. So it, that drinking definitely escalated, but I never saw it that way until after getting sober. Didn't realize that. And but kids got older, and got into sports, and I was trying to balance work, trying to balance that at 9 o'clock. You know, that was it. Dennis was done because it was time to knock back a few, and that would it bled into every single day, and it would be two, three, and then I think I could have two or three, but it ended up 4 to 6, and then 6 to 8, and then uh, and I'm not telling the truth. You've been drinking? Nope, nope. How much do you have to drink? Two. I couldn't be honest about it, because I was ashamed, and that was my solution, and I felt ashamed my entire life, you know, and and that's why I picked up the alcohol to escape that reality that of not being enough, and but that's my part, that nobody else did that to me. That's the way I felt. But as time went on, the and the little got more and more, and pretty soon it well, actually, ah I can't forget this, Joe. uh, during I got a back injury in 2006, and they had to put me on heavy meds for my back pain, and so I was taking opioids and other nerve medication that Paula Abdul got squirrely on one of the shows one night, and so that combo, and but I swore on a stack of Bible for 5.5 years, Joe, that I'd never drink again. And during that time, or after that was up, and I finally got fixed after all the surgeries and everything, uh, it I decided to pick up a drink again. And I when I picked up, I drank like I didn't stop, and it was even more because I was trying to get that ease and comfort that I couldn't get through alcohol. And I thought something was like I did through the medications, the prescription medications I was taking, and I thought something was wrong with me, and I was crazy. So I went to a psychiatrist and say something's wrong. This is not right. I don't feel right. Um, I always feel uh, very anxious. So they put me on a load of medications. One of them was a benzo, and I got pretty much free reign on those benzos for at that time, and was on a couple other medications too. And that was very mixing that and being weaned off of it's still having um, the opioids, and then being on benzos and mixing those. I got there. I got to where I needed to be to feel that ease and comfort. And and it wasn't until later on when I finally hit treatment that I found out that's a deadly cocktail. And I did that for some time until I finally ended up in treatment in 2000. The first time was 2015 when when I ended up in treatment. Ended up in the back of an ambulance, um, coming home from a Bears game, sauced to no end, embarrassed my cousin to no end, just deplorable, and knocked on the front door of the wrong house, trying to get in, put my keys in the door. They said this is the wrong house, and ended up on the front parkway, and in what was that? This November, late November, December, up in northern Illinois. It was cold out, and I just passed out. And police came, picked me up, and but after there, they took me to a uh, a treatment center, in which I just said I have anxiety issues and I'm depressed, um, and so they put me through that uh, as a psychiatric patient. And it wasn't until I met with one of the caseworkers, and she was going through my drug or my alcohol history, and and I'll never forget her. She looked just like Kate Beckinsale, and but she said, Do you think you need to go to a 12-step program? We can cross treat you here. And you can go up and you can go to this meeting." And that was the first time I went to a meeting, a 12-step meeting. And I got done with that meeting, and I'm just like, nope, I'm not like these bums. Nope, that's not for me. And I can laugh about that now. I'm like, yep, I'm just like you guys. uh, but uh, but I told her that, nope, I don't have what they have. And she said, okay. But it being in and out of treatment, um, and I'd hold my own for 3 months, 4 months, and I was back in treatment, and another 30 days, and then out, and then back in, 3 to 4 months later. And I went to the same place in same treatment center, um, each time, except for the first time was the IOP and everything. And but I got to know the psychiatrist, the addictionologist there at where I was staying, and they didn't treat me for psych issues. They treated me for alcoholism. And all the 12-step guys come in, and um, uh, and I got a sponsor in there, and it was uh, learning about what the problem was, and I didn't understand what the problem was. I don't think I even understood or wanted to know what the problem was. Why this was all happening, why I continued to drink against my own will and do these things stupidly, make these horrible decisions to uh, put alcohol and opioids and benzos in my body so I could escape reality. And when I found out with alcohol, once I put the one in me, I'm not stopping. It's not the last one that gets me drunk. It's the first. And but I it didn't register, Joe. It really didn't. Um, and uh, so I had to go. I had to beat myself into a place of submission by trying to live that obsession, that lie that I tell myself, that big delusion that next time it's going to be different. And every time I picked up again, um, I may have started off slow, but I ramped right back up, and to even worse, and there were more consequences to be endured. And so until until I finally
Well,
every time oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I think you were getting. I was going to say. So you said until. I was going to say. So what was the turning point for you?
So every time I went in and out of treatment, and I'd see the same people, have the same texts, have the same um, psychiatrist, had the same sponsor, and I thought that sponsor would, that after the first time he would have been like, I'm not dealing with this clown. But every time he walked in, he says like, hey, how you doing? Glad you made it back. Glad you made it back. Happy to see you. Good to see you. And uh, that was strange to me. That was really strange because I didn't get that. I didn't get that in my home, in any home for that matter. That I spent most of my time, and it was when uh, that that last time. So I was in treatment, and they moved me to a halfway house with uh, or an IOP that had a sober living, because they didn't want me going back home. And I was the last round. I was in treatment for 5.5 months because when I was in treatment, I decided to pick up I decided I could have a couple of drinks. I didn't concede to my innermost self at that time. Uh, uh, and I was just going to have a couple drinks. So when we went to the store, it was January. It's my sobriety date, 22nd. So that week before, uh, went to the store. It's January, so I got my big Nanook of the North coat on, and I'm going by the shelf, because we were shopping for ourselves, and they give us little cards, and you can't buy alcohol with them because of the sick codes on there, and you can't buy vanilla because that has alcohol in it. And I was walking by the liquor aisle, and I'm like, I thought it was a good idea to pick up just a little something to drink. And when I looked, there were smaller bottles, and my hand went over to the full handle 1.75-liter bottle, and I just shoved that sucker in my big Nanook coat, and nobody ever nobody ever knew, and brought that into treatment. And um, oh, yeah, I'm just gonna have a couple. And the wild card games were on that weekend, and I was definitely a wild card. Um, I met a person, a guy that sent me off because they're like, you got, we can't have you here. I got caught, ended up in check-in group, and the tech, I'd been there long enough. She goes, something's wrong. She's like, you got to come with me, and I blew digits. You had to blow all zeros in treatment, and well, mine wasn't mine wasn't zero something when I blew. And not that I laugh about it now, I'm not proud of it. Um, but it's a reminder to me what what alcohol can do to me. It turns me into a different person, and I don't care about much of anything, and because I'm trying to escape everything, and uh, but I love people, and it's just tale of two worlds, kind of the way I grew up, and but yeah, but the anyways, that the guy that came in, he it was his first day as a tech. I offered him I never bought anything of substance. I bought cookies and pop and ice cream, and while I was in treatment, so I was offering this guy cookies and whatnot. And that night before, but that day he was sending me off to before they came and picked me up to go back to inpatient. And I was talking with him, and he had worked at a he was a house manager at a halfway house, and when I was talking with him, he planted that, helped plant that seed. Like, when you're done, come out, come live in a sober living, and uh, and you stay there as long as you need. It's a really good place. It's very supportive. Go to meetings every day, and so that it kind of stuck in my head. I felt horrible that I picked up. I'm in I'm in the room leading meetings and whatnot, and I'm so disappointed in myself, and I feel completely ashamed. But ended up going back into treatment, and it was a instant replay. But the one message that I got from Tex, the psychiatrist, and my sponsor, my ever loving and enduring treatment sponsor, who I still talk to today, um, was, "What are you going to do to change? What are you going to change? To have a different outcome. What are you going to change?" And I remember that last that last week I was there, and I met with him, and one evening, and he said, "What are you going to do to change this? Um, you know, if you continue to run on your own self will and you don't do something different, you may not come back. You may not come back here." And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean by that?" He goes, "You know, there's three things. You got jail, you got institutions where you're sitting in one now, and door number three is you end up in the ground." And and I guess that got my attention a little bit. I had the three sons who I loved. I st- and I loved doing so. We had such great times in sports and football, and they'll always say that was the best times of our lives. And I'm so sorry I did what I did, and and um, and wasn't there for them in their at a time in their life when they needed their father the most. And it was very selfish of me, that I wasn't there. And during those early teenage years, and and I give a lot of props to my wife for taking care of those boys, and still taking care of those boys, or men now, now that they're all in their 20s, and one is married and has a grandkid. Um, but I met with the psychiatrist the next morning, and she said pretty much reiterated the same thing, and she's like, "I recommend you stay here for another week. Your insurance is going to cut out, but you need to get into a halfway house." And then that one guy from the treatment centers that came to mind, because I couldn't get in anywhere else. It's January, so everyone's in treatment. The summertime, nobody wants to be in treatment, and the wintertime, they want to all get fed and get warm so they can go party during the summer. That's what I learned. That's and using their insurance cards as passports around the country. And Like, wow, I got into this thinking I was just going to know a little bit about get better with alcoholism, and I wasn't. I didn't know what I was in store. I didn't dream of learning some of the stuff that I learned. But she did say to me, uh, you know, you you keep coming back here, and so I suggest you stay a week till you go door to door to a sober living, and or you don't leave until you have that available, because you can't go back home, you can't go to a friend's house, you can't go to your dad's house. And I said, no, 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 no. Yeah, I, I'll be able to go back home, and then this place is going to be open, and it has a bed open in a couple weeks, and I can go there. And she said, look, so if you don't start following suggestions, you may not come back here. I go, what? I we and having a relationship with your psychiatrist is not the usually being in and out. I have this relationship kind of that normal people don't have with their psychiatrist, and I looked at her and I said, "What? You're not going to allow me back?" She goes, "No, Dennis, I don't think you're going to make it back. You almost didn't make it back the last couple times," and so that kind of reinforced what my sponsor was saying. And when I look back at it, I am so glad that there are people in 12-step programs that work in H&I and work with treatment centers to work together to help other people. Um, it doesn't matter if it's drugs or alcohol or both. That those people work together, because um, it, it really helped me to finally say the party's over. It's over, and I got to do something different. I don't know if I was convinced at that time that I'd stop drinking, but I knew I had to do something different, and I did, and I took that advice, and I ended up at the halfway house, where the guy that sent me off to treatment, he was my house manager, and so that that was probably that I would say is the coming to terms stage of my drinking.
Yeah, that's powerful, powerful stuff, you know. Um what was the hardest part of that early sobriety? Like, early on.
I think that looking back, it was the hardest part was getting over myself. I never dreamed of growing up to have alcohol problems, drug problems, um, that created family problems. Um, and I did, I did fairly well for myself and my family when I'm not drinking, when I'm good. But when alcohol and drugs took over, yeah, all bets are off, and it did horrible things. So I never thought I'd live in a halfway house, and I did that for 18 months, and the last 6 months were were heck, because um, they needed to open a bed up, and I was still there, and the toughest thing was learning to fly again. That was very difficult, but thank God that we got the um, the recovery house that I was in, in that recovery community. They had meetings pretty much every day. Weekends you were free, but I hung out with the house manager, um, who's a really good friend of mine, and love him. I love the time we spent together, and he made it easier. He definitely made it easier. But yeah, we went around to meetings. We were doing meetings probably 7 days a week, and uh, but but yeah, I think that hardest part was swallowing that pride pill and getting over myself.
So what were some of the biggest lessons you learned early on?
Some of the biggest lessons that I learned early on. Um, Doing the work, um, is staying. I I'm a scheduled kind of guy, but when it comes to things when things are important to me, but I guess I didn't take it so seriously, my sobriety very seriously in the beginning. I just did things. Um, but like they say, you can't think your way into different living. You have to live your way into different thinking. And that's exactly what happened. Going to meetings um, and so I think that was the biggest thing. I had to live it. I just couldn't check the boxes. And even though I was checking the boxes at that time and doing the things that were required of me, um, at some point, that's when the fellowship took over, and I became a part of that. And they, the fellowship uh, showed me the way, showed me that love, uh, gave me a lot of tolerance, including my sponsor, who was going to drop me multiple times because I wasn't doing the work. And that's probably doing that work and taking sobriety seriously would be um, early on. If I would have done things different, I guess I would have done that. And at the times that I knew in my heart, before, after being in treatment a couple times instead of enduring that, I think I feel as if I would have just listened to my heart that something was wrong, I could have made that change earlier. But I also understand too that my journey is my journey, and I can look back at those mistakes that I made, or some of the things that I did do that helped, and be able to share that with somebody else. That it You don't have to go take the take the shit truck all the way to the shit pile. You can jump off at any time. So
That's a true story, Dennis. That's a true story. Um, so what are some of the best things that have happened to you since you've been sober?
the best things that have happened to me since I was sober is, I would say, the fellowship of people, the bright spot in recovery we don't want to miss, um, and getting to know people for who and what they are better, um, instead of trying to impress people, uh, getting to know myself more. Uh, I don't. I have a pretty good idea what I am, who and what I am, and all the good parts and bad parts and ugly parts, and so I try to work on all those, and I think the importance of having a higher power in my life that doesn't judge me. I was judged all my life, and no matter what I do, my higher power loves me, and he loves us all. He loves us all, for all of everyone that believes. And but I learned to love myself. I think that's a gift. That's a gift. There's a lot of hate and shame, uh, and then in doing all that, I was able to have more genuine relationships with other people instead of superficial, and that brought about the circle of friends that I have, brought about rela- the restored relationships, with family, especially my kids, and brought about a new relationship with my current wife, my awesome wife Simone, and my best friend, and that's how we got to do. That's we were 2 years, Joe, of circling around each other, being at events together, working together, getting to know each other, and we were just friends. And that's all. Both of us say the same thing, and at some point, that all changed, um, and I, that line, something happened, and I can't say what that was, Joe, but I'm grateful for it. It's a definite gift. um
I think, is it odd or is it God, Dennis?
That went through my head too.
um, something that, because I know that you're very involved in service, and I was wondering if you could touch on some of the service that you're involved in, because I think it's important for people to know some of the things that are out there that you can do in recovery.
Absolutely, and that's definitely the bright spot of it. Um, it, being involved in a home group and taking those roles on, taking the roles on at events. Um, uh, I love doing those things, and 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 then as time goes on, being a GSR, going to the area. Um, to do more of the larger events and uh, doing Soberfest and bringing thousands of people together for that was great. The one thing that's near and dear to my heart, and for as I tell my story for obvious reasons, the one thing is going into treatment centers and um, and carrying the message of hope that if somebody like me that's hopeless and in despair and has no idea what's going on with life, and I'm living in anxiety and depression and don't want to live, don't want to die, and just existing, there is a way out, and and that's what the people, the fellowship has showed me. That's what the program of recovery has shown me, and I need to put that to. I get to put that to work. Um, and I'm so grateful for all those people that I talk about in treatment and the people along the way at the halfway houses and home groups, people at home. My sponsor, still my sponsor, uh, great guy, and but that service, I it it it's a little insurance that today's not that day, uh, and it usually if I go, I was in a treatment center yesterday, but I'm usually pretty good, and but the one thing uh, that could be the selfish part. That is the selfish part of me. It keeps me sober, um, but at the end of it all, um, and at the end of the meetings being able to connect with at least one person to hopefully guide them down the path that I was guided down, because we all deserve that. All alcoholics and drug addicts, um, combo jobs, we all deserve it. um, and so I think that's probably the bright spot. Working with other sponsoring people is uh, is definitely uh, that is the bright spot you don't want to miss when the person across from you is in that same place that I once was, uh, with no hope, complete despair, um, and and uh, without any peace in their life, and the eyes just dark to see those lights of hope and faith go back on in their eyes and them change, um, through guiding through the book. And that's not me, that's God working through me, and God working in them. And to see that, it gives me hope that that this program, the that the program recovery still works. And if it works for them, it works for me, and it can work for others. And that's the message I try to carry when I go into those treatment centers and into the rooms and into the rooms and and with sponsees and newcomers, uh, to bring that message of hope, because that's one thing I needed to get it all going, to believe in something bigger than myself again.
Well, you are certainly living proof that recovery works. And You have an amazing story and an amazing message, and I know personally some of the stuff that you do and have done, and you know, you're an amazing example of recovery. So I appreciate just having you in my life, my friend.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm grateful to have you in my life too, brother.
was there anything that you wanted to share that we didn't talk about?
Um, I can't say. I guess not that I can think of at the moment, but I'm sure I'll think of it a half hour right before I close my eyes tonight, and I'm like, oh, I forgot to say that. I got to call Joe, and I will. I'll tell you about it.
That'd be great. Yeah, I will definitely want to know. Well, I can't let you go without doing our rapid fire questions.
All right.
So, if you are ready, we will uh, we will fire away, so to speak.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. What is your favorite recovery slogan?
Um, yeah, it's not the it, it's not the engine. It's not the caboose that kills me. It's the engine. That one it reminds me of the I can't take that first string.
Yeah. What is your least favorite recovery slogan?
Think, think, think. And I guess I still don't understand it. I've been around for a little bit, but uh, I guess I don't like it because I'm an overthinker. I think, 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 and so it. I feel my overthinking gets me in trouble, but apparently I don't know the meaning of think, think, think. So, and I need to be more open about that and be willing to learn that.
What do you think is your sobriety superpower?
I think my sobriety superpower is it was a weakness. It was connecting with people. I still have that weakness, really connecting with people. I think my super, but I guess it's made up for when the newcomer comes in and connecting with the newcomer.
If you could say one thing to your former self, what would it be?
I would say getting more serious. Listen to my heart, definitely in everything, not just my drinking, but in life in general. Follow my heart and listen to it.
What song do you play to lift your spirits when you need a boost?
Um, it's a song, "Present Tense" by Pearl Jam, and love that song.
If you could grant yourself one wish to help with your recovery, what would it be?
Grant myself one wish in recovery. What would that be? Um, to always be grateful and the willingness to do more.
What step do you love the most?
Step one, because that gives me an understanding. It gives me that awareness of reality, um, and the problem, because I can't apply a solution to a problem I don't understand. And so that's, I guess, first things first. Understanding the problem, because it doesn't matter if I have a solution and understand the solution. How do I apply it to a problem that I don't understand?
What step do you love the least?
I have a love hate relationship with with step 11 in that review. I still have pride. I still have ego, and still getting over myself, um, and that's why step one is so important to me. I like the best is because that honesty allows me to have that to be able to have that freedom to be willing to work on myself and to choke down that pride pill a little more.
What is one of your favorite movies?
Um, the Born Identity. I love that movie.
You could actually be Matt Damon in that movie, Dennis.
Matt Damon.
And finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I would have to say you had one wild ride, and glad you made it in the spiritual condition that you did.
Well, I'm certainly glad that you took the time to share your story, Dennis. I really appreciate you.
I really appreciate the opportunity and grateful to be on here and to have a brother like you.
Thank you, my friend. And for the rest of you folks out there, please subscribe to our friends at thedailyponderables.com, your recovery source for inspiration and encouragement every day. A new episode of The Cup of Joe Show is released every Thursday at noon. Visit thecupofjoeshow.net, or you can listen to the show on your favorite podcast apps, Podbean, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and others. Just search for The Cup of Joe Show. Don't forget the "the." Please like, follow, subscribe, and share because someone out there needs to hear this today. Have a good day, everybody.
It's just a laid-back vibe, baby.
We hope you enjoyed today's Experience, Strength, and Hope. We are so grateful you decided to join us. Please share this episode with someone who might need it. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, no matter where you are in your recovery journey, you are not alone. Reach up and reach out to someone. Please do not suffer in silence. Until next time, let's take it 1 minute, 1 hour, and 1 day at a time. Thanks for listening to The Cup of Joe Show.